A homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Grayson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22. 10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, dancing all around. Throwing as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver. You're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
All right, welcome to episode 4 of Player of the Week podcast, where we like to highlight a free agent to kind of hopefully help their case and get them a little bit more interest. And today we're joined by Sidney Jones, defensive tackle, most recently with the Southwest Kansas Storm, attended Southern Connecticut University for his college ball, graduating with a degree in broadcast journalism. So, hopefully he's got some pointers for me and can give me a little bit of insight on what he thinks about this show. But definitely excited to speak with you today, Sidney. How are you doing this morning?
What's going on, Sam? I'm doing good. Just enjoying, the hour back we got in time. So pretty much enjoying that. But it's a nice morning out here. So I can't.
Absolutely. So we already got the comments rolling in. Chris says, my boy Sid, where are we headed for 2024?
It's a good question. Still trying to figure that out, though, for sure.
Absolutely. That's why we're here. Chris, if you got some teams looking, make sure to keep Sidney in your thoughts. I'm sure you've got contacts all over right now building rosters. So we'll do what we can to get our guy Sidney signed up. So, Sidney, let's jump right into this. I mean, you played your college ball and pursued broadcast journalism at Southern Connecticut University after attending Capital Prep High School, where you played no less than 3 sports and also ran track. So I have to ask, was there ever any doubt in your mind that football was in your future?
No, it was always football. Kind of, my school did a 2-sport requirement, so at first, when I first got there, it was like, all right, I'll play basketball, just because I always played football and basketball, my whole life. Then and baseball as well. So, baseball, we added a baseball team like as soon as I got to high school. So it's like, it's the first year, I want to try this. As the years went along, I kind of, focused more on football, did indoor track just because it allowed me kind of to lift, run during the winter. So, I'm kind of just staying up and conditioning. That way, once it's over, spring, I'm just back to kind of my usual football lifting routine and everything. And so that was kind of just a thought process, whatever I do secondary or after football was just going to help me with football. And so that was kind of my thought process the whole time. And just in the end, looking back on it, it was like I did do kind of all those sports. So it's a cool thing to realize. But, the whole time it was just like everything I do is going to help me at some point be better with football. So.
Absolutely. And for anybody watching, keep that in mind because we'll get back to that here later. But while in high school, not only did you play multiple sports, but you also played multiple positions on the football field, actually playing a little bit of offensive line and defensive line. So I'm curious, if you got the call today to go play for an AFL team, would you feel comfortable, playing on offense, whether it, was on offensive line or perhaps as a, lead blocker, extra lineman, something like that?
I think, yeah, it's one of those things, I definitely would have to work on off the fact that, I've been playing defensive line now for going on, nearly 10 years of just defensive line only. So you get in that process where it's a natural position. So for offensive line, it's one of those things you'd have to work on. Like, I definitely think I could come in and, have a lead blocking type of thing, make some blocks. It would definitely take some getting used to it, just be a full-on offensive line. But, If it was a time where, it's needed to make a play, I'd definitely be down to do it. But, it's just one of those things, like I said, you got to get back to, grips. Sometimes, when you play around, just act like an O-lineman. I'm like, oh, I haven't done this in a while. Like kick stepping is a lot different from, just getting that 4-point stance and getting after it. So that's one of the things you just got to get adjusted to. And that's one of the things I would have to.
Absolutely. Armand Sadler says he's tapped in. Thank you for tuning in, Armand. We appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button and like button. Comment your questions if you got any. We'll make sure to ask them. Moving on to Southern Connecticut University, you settled in at defensive tackle, as we mentioned. You end up playing strictly defensive line throughout your whole college career. Before you ended up deciding on Southern Connecticut University, what were some other offers that you ended up obtaining after high school?
So a lot of it were, D2, D3 area. Had a preferred walk-on kind of option at Central. But a lot of it was D2, other NE10 schools, like the Paces, the Assumption, Western Connecticut, D3, Curry, Becker, a lot of those D2, D3s. But at the end of the day, when I chose Southern, I just chose kind of not only what was best for me football-wise, what was best for me school-wise. And, finding out when I went on my visit, they had the TV club, the studio, and everything. It was kind of just like, this school is perfect. And knowing I'll be working with, having professors who worked in the newspaper, on TV, those were kind of the things that pushed it over, for me. And at the end of the day, Southern is a well-known football program as well. So I was just like, that's perfect for me. And that's where I went with it.
Absolutely. Brandon Duggar tuning in says, Sid, thanks for tuning in, Brandon. We appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button for us. You end up attending SCU for an extended career. I was actually kind of surprised to see that you were there for 7 seasons, including 2 seasons as a graduate student and 1 as a redshirt. While you were there, I'm curious, you end up going to play on in 40 games until 2021. Did you get a chance to hold a formal pro day after college?
No, wasn't able to. I went to the small school combine out in Indianapolis, but wasn't able to do a pro day. So a lot of it kind of was just, not even using that shit, but just meeting the people I met out at the small school combine, talking to them is kind of what got me here. So that was kind of how it worked.
That makes sense. Backing up a little bit, did you get any offers to play offensive line in college?
No, it was mostly defensive line. One of the things, I was a tackle, and being a 6-foot tackle in college usually doesn't cut it. But it was kind of like, I talked to my coach about it like right before my senior year. We had a conversation about me moving to guard. We had the summer, the summer season. You do your jamborees and everything. I think we did 1 scrimmage. I played guard, and for me, it was a little difficult because I played tackle my whole high school career. And it was just like, I'm so used to, having my own island. So it was like being to see everything. But not only with me, we didn't have the people, that could play tackle. So it kind of ended up being a thing where it's just like, you got to go back. And I went from right tackle 3 years. My senior year, ended up playing left tackle. And so.
Interesting. Yeah. Krish says, got to get you on the goal line stand. Krish, definitely stay tuned. I got some questions about that as well. So you come out of college in 2021, and this seems like a perfect time to play your 2021 highlights.
And Bears, none of my...
Sorry about that. Meant to mute that. So you come out of college in 2022. I'm curious, did you pursue the USFL at all, given that they were relaunching in 2022?
Yeah, it was difficult, just coming out and kind of learning everything about what was going on with the USFL, straight out of college, just trying to figure that out, not having an agent and everything like that. So just kind of find my way. And, now I'm learning like how talking to people. I believe I did like, the questionnaire or anything, never really heard back. But, it was definitely just trying to figure out how do we get to the next path of my football career at that time. And that was
that makes perfect sense. That's awesome. That's awesome. So we'll play some of your professional highlights here in a second as well. So you end up signing with the Southwest Kansas Storm for the 2022 season. I have to ask, I mean, you played your college football in Southern Connecticut. What led you to the Storm?
Coach Timberlake at the time, I received a message from him, and he was just kind of ready to go. I was at home. I remember I was at home, got a message, and he was just on go, just bringing me there and wanted me to get out there because they needed a lot D-line help at the time. I think they were headed into they had an early bye week. And they were kind of just reshaping their team and figuring out who their team was, and they decided to bring me along, and I was just down for it at the time, just being the opportunity to showcase myself and be able to play. So I took the offer, and a week later I was in Dodge City.
Interesting. That's crazy how quick that happened for you. So during your rookie season, you end up collecting 40 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, 2 breakups, and 2 block kicks. If you were asked to grade your performance as a rookie, how would you grade yourself?
I'd say like a B minus. Really good first year of just learning the game. I think one of the things was learning how fast it was. Playing on a 100-yard field is fast, but you shorten that and put faster people on an arena field. It moves quick. So I think that was just one of the biggest learning adjustments, was just how I play. And thankfully I had good coaches and Coach George. Teammates like Jamar Seard and Keontae Griffin. They helped me out a lot in just learning and understanding and how to become real better at my job as a defensive tackle in arena football.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Having good veterans around you to help teach you the ways, especially when you're coming from outdoor to indoor, can always be a huge help. So that's awesome to hear that you had some really, really stout veterans around you. So in 2023, you end up returning to Southwest Kansas Storm. You were one of the few players that ended up returning from 2022 to 2023. What led you back to the Storm in 2023?
So originally I had signed with Omaha, did the camp with Omaha, but we had a lot of guys, and talking to Coach Kaiser, he was just like, we a lot of D linemen, and just felt like they were letting me go. But he was like, I'd rather let you go now than to do it in the season, because I know you're gonna find somewhere. Even though I hate that I have to do it, because I know we gotta play against you. He was like, I have to let you go, and so as soon as that happened, Coach George, Coach Benson, they had called me and was just like, "Would you like to come back? We kind of need help at the defensive tackle position." I was ready to go, and again, Keontae had called me. A couple of other teammates were just like, "Yeah, let's kind of run this back again." And I was happy to return.
That's awesome. So you end up playing again for SWK. You end up bringing career numbers to 67 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 3 blocked kicks. You gave yourself a grade of a B after your first season. What areas do you feel you improved in year 2?
I'd say my pass rush a lot was the biggest improvement. I think just my thing as a pass rusher, especially D tackles, someone my size, 6 feet, 6'1" ish, to 290, 300 range. We're not used to being pass rushers. We're kind of the run stuffers. And that's kind of always been my thing since high school to college. I was always like in high school, I was a late bloomer to being a pass rusher. I didn't get sacks till my senior year, and so in college, same thing. Wasn't really till late in my career. So the goal was just become a better pass rusher. My workouts, just watching clips, D-line clips. I'm a big Aaron Donald fan, so watching him and what he does has always been kind of how I progress as a pass rusher. So doing that helped me a lot, and that was kind of the growth I needed to become a better pass rusher. It was just moves, whether it was getting to the quarterback, getting the sack, or just getting pressure. I learned as I've grown to learn in football, getting pressure is just as important as getting the sack. If you can get the pressure, it either forces a bad pass, the quarterback just might fumble, just scrambling, things of that matter. So becoming a better rusher was kind of always my goal, and so that's why I say I worked on the best and kind of improved in this past season.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So one thing obviously that kind of stuck out to me during your professional career so far is you already have 3 blocked kicks. Now I'm sure I'm a little bit older than you, so you might not remember this guy in particular, but Margus Hunt was a guy that came to mind when I was kind of looking at this. He used to block kicks all the time, kind of made a career of it. So I'm curious, is this something you practice? Is it a technique you have? Is there something in particular? Is it your background in basketball that has helped you get to this point?
I wouldn't even say it's a technique. It's knowing who your opponent really is, to be honest. And just how, my thing with special teams, I've always been taught since college, never take a special teams play off because you never know what happens. And, one of the things that's how I got the block kick in college was just, paying attention to what was in front of me and, realizing and seeing like if a lineman's leaving a gap open for me, um, the next time it's like we gotta run that block to that person, or things of that matter. So for me it's just kind of knowing my opponents, knowing my technique of just really how getting under and just making a play. Sometimes you just gotta jump and go for it. Sometimes like those blocks I had my first year in Kansas, it was kind of a thing where it's just like I think I could get it, so might as well try and jump, and most of the time it worked. So that was kind of my thought process. This year I was a little upset I didn't get as many as I could. But things happen, teams trying to change their blocking settings and get better linemen. So that makes a difference. But it's kind of just one of those things you adjust to.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your special teams play. I mean, what other units have you played on? Obviously, field goal block. Do you play return units, stuff like that as well?
No, not really. I've been on field goal. Last year I was on field goal for the past 2 seasons I've played field goal as a wing or at wing tackle area. So it's something I've grown to, do a lot more from, high school and college. I wasn't really on more special teams. But in this game, sometimes things happen where you gotta just go out there and make a block or try to, or go down and run down the field. And, one of the things I've just tried to learn is, being able to do that if that situation comes, just to be ready to help our team make a play. And that's kind of the cool thing about arena to me.
100%. These smaller rosters will definitely challenge you to play different positions at times, for sure. That's actually one of the reasons I love arena and indoor football so much as well, is it kind of forces players to be versatile a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of the time, you just gotta kind of, a lot of teams will get a guy who can play both ways, or a couple guys who can play both ways, just in case, situations happen. It's a lot easier to have somebody, knows 2 positions than to kind of sign 2 people for 2 different positions. So that helps a lot. It makes, your roster a lot easier to maneuver.
100%. 100%. So obviously, speaking of basketball, we've seen countless players make the leap from the hardwood to the gridiron. This is nothing new whatsoever. And you kind of had that background in football before. But I'm curious, did it ever come up for you to make the all too common leap to like tight end or anything like that? Or was it always going to be defensive line for you?
Well, as a kid, I used to want to be a tight end so badly. And, going to high school, it was just like we were a spread team. And my running back, my freshman year, our senior running back, also he's like, I hate to break it to you. He's like, you're going to have to end up playing lineman. I was just like, yeah, knowing what we got. But, I've grown to love being a lineman, especially defensive lineman. There's just, to me, it's the best position on the field. It's the most fun. It's the biggest game changer is the defensive line in football to me. And, when you have just a fun defensive line that can get there, it makes your job, defensive backs, D coordinator, makes your job so much easier as, the game goes along. So for me, once I kind of locked in that I was going to be a lineman, especially defensive lineman, there was no stopping me from there. And, college, I had our O-line coach make jokes, and I was just like, you can't get me off this defensive line at this point. And that's kind of just been my mentality always.
That makes sense. So you said you always wanted to be a tight end when you were a kid. If the opportunity ever came, I mean, are you going to take that and jump there and play some tight end or go catch some passes?
Man. If they need me to catch a couple passes, I could do it. like I always used to tell, I was like, I'm good in the goal line, man. Just throw the jump ball fade. I think I got a chance. Always.
There we go. There we go. I like it. Hopefully we can see that happen in 2024 wherever you land. So heading into your third season, not to point out the elephant in the room, but you are a little bit older than most third year players given your stint in college. But how long do you see yourself playing professional football?
My thing is, I've given this game so much and it's given back so much to me. My goal is to be done around 30, just because when you've played the game so long, one of the things, the pandemic, as much went on and how much of a time it kind of just gave me, the mentality and just sitting there thinking, there's life after football. I've always been kind of want to know, like, put myself in a position where, football doesn't have to be the only thing in your life. So, but, just having that time and just, being around family, friends and things and getting to, no season, getting to, see things and enjoy things you never really got to see because you're playing football. It kind of made me realize, there's more light to life than football. And as much as I enjoy it, I know there's going to be a time, when it ends. And I want to kind of end it on my note instead of, going out there and keep trying and knowing my body can't do it. So my whole thing has been, I by 30, I want to be done, to be able to say, I played this amount of years professionally, had a successful high school career, had a successful college career, had a successful pro career. And then to be saying when it's done, I can tell my kids I did all this and be happy with it. And, at the end of the day, football, one of the most toughest, dangerous sports in the world. So, that, just knowing, you want to have a healthy body, when it's all said and done. I don't want to be beat up and bruised. So, just knowing my body and knowing what I want to do. The goal is kind of 30 is when I want to be done.
Absolutely. So obviously, given the fact that you spent the last 2 seasons in the CIF, I wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that most of the CIF teams have moved over to the AFL. What are your thoughts on the AFL coming back and ultimately the CIF kind of dissolving into 2 other leagues this past offseason?
I think it's incredible. Growing up, I used to watch, AFL when it used to come on. I had the video game at one point, so it's cool kind of seeing some of those teams, return. I think it's good that the CIF, certain teams went NAL, some teams went AFL. I think it's good that we're kind of some of these leagues are coming together because one of the things is having a market. You want to have a market everywhere and everybody, there's a place for everybody. And so kind of this merger is a good thing because now you don't have to really find or create teams. Really, you have teams here ready. It makes it a lot quicker, from a business perspective to, just get teams up and running. And I think that's honestly a good deal for everybody involved.
I would agree wholeheartedly. I think consolidation is something that the arena football world has needed for years. So I do like how everything's kind of shaped up. We've seen some teams move from the NAL to the IFL. It got larger. The NAL rebounded back to 8 teams, and then we see the AFL come in, and they're going to be somewhere between 16 to 20 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to ask, obviously this is where we kind of transition into your future as a person potentially outside of football. I wanted to ask, you obviously have this background in broadcast journalism from college. Is that something you look to pursue after your playing career?
Yes. So right now I've recently started the last couple months, just, a football page called No Huddle, and just, working through that, just covering NFL at the moment, some college football. And it's created by me and my cousin. So what we're just kind of doing, starting off the ground up, just simple things of just, starting conversation. And, the goal is to grow and grow from there and just kind of bring a different outlook, on just football analysis from guys who's played it in college and things of that matter, and kind of just different ways, my thing is, like, how do one of the things I want to do is just kind of go around to different colleges and, NFL games and be able to go to like the tailgates and just kind of almost just like see what's different from each one and talk to fans and be like, what makes go to a Yale game maybe and be like, what separates y'all tailgate from maybe a Harvard, get that kind of thing, go to Alabama one time, be like, what separates y'all from Auburn and these tailgates, and why you love just your football team so much. And it's really, my whole thing is I want to kind of get the backstories of just the love of football, because, that's like my backstory started from, watching as a kid, seeing my dad play flag football with his friends, and just growing and watching, the local high schools, getting there, then seeing the NFL. And then, as you get older, you start watching college more. Reggie Bush was the reason I started watching college football. There was nobody more dynamic in the history of college football to me than Reggie Bush. So watching that, growing up, you just grow and grow. So my whole thing is, eventually just talking to people and learning about, why they love the game and how they got here and what keeps them like loving the game. So that's kind of my goal with football media in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, so I got to ask you, I mean, how important is it for you in your next career in broadcast journalism to kind of build a name for yourself, build a brand for yourself now while you're a player?
I think it's important, especially now as a player. One of the things I think I've always been, good at is using like the people I know and this platform I have as an athlete to speak, whether it's, having a brand or, just promoting something, an event or things of that matter. It's using that platform outside of football to your advantage. It's the reason we have it. And I think that's one of the better things about, with college now, the NIL, is that these kids are, using that platform, help themselves make money, because that's what you should do with that platform. If you're going to have it, take advantage of it as much as possible. And for me, that's been my whole thing, is just, with this, brand I'm trying to build for football media, it's like use that platform to get followers, to get engagement and things of that matter, and just watch it grow. Because, once you get this person and they start liking your content, another person will follow and things of that matter. And you always have the power of just, off a hashtag, simply of people finding you and finding your page and starting to like it. So having that already accelerated, audience helps out a lot.
Absolutely. I can only imagine. Oh, well, I told you earlier, or I told Krish earlier, that I had some questions based on what he said in this comment right here about getting you on the goal line stand. Obviously, you've got a background in broadcast journalism. Obviously, you're on a sports multimedia platform right now. So I got to ask, would you ever consider coming and doing some shows with us?
Oh, I would love to. It's like I said, it's all about, for me, it's just, scheduling this course, but I'd love to, be able to talk, come in, whether it's talk about football, wrestling, things of that matter. I'm here to talk. So that's what I love to do, things I'm passionate about. So I would love to, just get in and talk sports, because that's one of my kind of just peaceful things of doing. That's one of the other things, being able to talk about sports, peaceful to me, because it's something I love and I'm passionate about. So.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I mean, for me, I know it's my escape from kind of my reality, So, I mean, it brings a lot of people together. It's something that, to me, is in its best form is very pure. There's not any conflict in it outside of the actual game, the competition on the field. And that's what I love so much about football, especially when you meet so many good people through the game. I mean, it's been very inspiring to me that I meet so many guys that have stories similar to yours, where they just love the game, they just want to continue playing. They're good people who have had the determination to continue playing when indoor football is not easy. So you very easily could have stepped away, and that's a big reason why we started covering player stories and doing these interviews and stuff, because I feel like, despite the fact that the vast majority of people out there are not athletes, I think they can find inspiration in your guys' stories because of your level of determination to do what you love and what you dream of doing in your life. So I think that's something that every person should be able to take something from.
Right.
But before we get out of here, I wanted to ask, is there anyone you want to shout out, or any merch that we can buy to support you as a person?
So shout out, first of all, my family. My aunt was in here. I saw her comment earlier. But shout out to my family and friends. the biggest thing for me was, my support system of just they've always had my back through this journey, and I don't know what I would do without them, to be honest with you. I've always been very family oriented, so having them just support me through all this is pretty cool, and it's kind of helped me in the long run. Um, Merch wise, I do have a clothing brand. I'm working on some new stuff, so that's coming out shortly. I kind of have to rework the website and everything, but I'll keep everybody in tune with that. Just and shout out to my football media page. You can follow. It's a No Huddle AFM on Instagram. I'm working on some things, for our podcast wise, and just talking and more content coming soon. Once more for the winter. Once I get settled in some things, but besides that, that's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. And it was at No Huddle AFM, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So definitely go follow them on Instagram. And where else do you got?
For now, that they're just the Instagram page, and then my pages, I believe Twitter and Instagram are both at the Sid Jones. So so that's basically what I have now.
Perfect. So go follow at No Huddle AFM, and then the real Sid Jones on both of the major platforms, Twitter and Instagram. Stick along with his journey. He's got a long time to go before he's done, and many, many more years to play professional football. So we're very excited about your career, man. Super excited about the future for you, and we'll see what we can do about getting you home for 2024.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sam. You. When it comes to for someone like you to have this network of just different shows, it's a unique thing because it's difficult. I don't think people realize how difficult it is kind of to make shows and keep them going, especially you because I've seen football, the wrestling, and things of that matter on the Shady network. So it's one of those things where it's very impressive to keep going and keep things up and adding new shows like this. So I really commend you for that.
Absolutely, man. Well, I really appreciate that as well. I mean, it's definitely been a challenge at times, but I got to tell you what, any chance I get, I will sing the praises of a lot of people that I have around me. I mean, guys like Chris Vias, Michael Washington, Rocco McSweets, so many different people that I could bring up. And I mean, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting any names right off the top of my head. I mean, Curtis Hagan, man. I could go on for days. Williams, all these different people. So thank you guys. I hope you see this because I rarely get the opportunity to thank you guys on camera, but I really appreciate everybody's contributions. And you and I should definitely have a conversation off camera about getting you on in the future as well. But any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nothing much. Go Colts today. How do you feel your Eagles are going to do today?
Well, it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, the Cowboys are always one of those divisional matchups that you kind of worry about a little bit. But the Cowboys have played pretty poor against good opponents this year. So I'm very interested to see how they'll perform against the Eagles.
I feel that.
Definitely. Who are the Colts playing today?
Panthers. So it should be a win. Hopefully, should be.
Hopefully. What are you thinking about Gardner Minshew so far?
I'm liking him. I'm enjoying him as, our quarterback. I think, at first he definitely believed he's a starter, and I think he's kind of proving it, especially in AR's, absence. So hopefully he just continues, work and it continues to get it done for us for the rest of the season. Maybe we sneak in a wild card or the playoffs somehow. So I'm excited for this team.
I certainly hope so. I know a lot of Colts fans. I've always kind of rooted for them, as long as they're not playing the Eagles or the Broncos. But definitely excited to see what the future brings for them too. Anthony Richardson's a very exciting guy.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see his progression as well next season. I see how the Colts are working it as more so with his injury. I think they're realizing it a lot like Andrew Luck, and they don't want to go through that same path again. So, having him sit and make sure he's good and ready for next year was the smart move, in my opinion. So.
I would agree. Well, once again, man, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And on that note, we will catch you all in the next episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Help us continue to grow. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. We're on the trip to 2,000 now. So let's hit that number quick. Do your part. Share this interview if you're a friend of Sidney. If you're just a regular watcher, we appreciate you sharing it as well. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.